Some crowns come with thorns. Lena trembled as she stood on the precipice of her doom. The village she had known all her life lay behind her, a fading memory cloaked in smoke and sorrow. Shouts echoed in the distance, sharp and heavy with authority, heavy like the iron shackles she feared would soon bind her. Once, she roamed freely through the wild. She had danced in a sea of herbs, vibrant colors and scents swirling around her. But those days were gone. The grip of her father's cruelty had snatched her innocence away, leaving her trapped in a brutal world. Survival had become her muse, and the only freedom she ever truly felt was defined by fleeting moments, a soft breeze, the laughter of children, or the glow of the moon highlighting her path to escape. But today shattered any illusion of freedom. King Gareth, a lichen more beast than man, sought to claim her as a piece in his political chess game. Wrath brewed beneath his unease, a controlling force that had drawn Lena like a magnet. As guards closed in on her, fear coiled in her gut, tightening with each step toward the castle, its ominous spires piercing the night sky like claws ready to snatch her back into darkness. The air thickened with anticipation, the walls of the castle looming higher as they approached. Shadows whispered secrets of betrayal. She was not just a captive. She was a pawn in a game so grand it dwarfed her reality. Willing her heart to be strong, she marched headfirst into the mouth of the beast. Gareth's obsession cloaked itself beneath layers of regal authority, a mask of control he was desperate to maintain. As she crossed the threshold, Lena felt the oppressive weight of his gaze, heavy and consuming. His presence was electric, igniting something in her that both frightened and intrigued her. She had no desire to submit, yet a flickering ember ignited deep within, hinting at the possibility of something profound blossoming in the ashes. Lena's thoughts raced as she took in her surroundings. Marble floors, gilded ceilings, everything exuding a polished facade, masking treachery lurking beneath. Each footfall echoed. She felt the whispers of the castle threads brushing against her skin, threatening to pull her deeper into a life she resisted with every fiber of her being. Would she walk willingly into the chaos, play the innocent maiden, or would she fight to reclaim her stolen autonomy? But as her mind raced, a question charged through the air, desperate for an answer. Who am I in this tangled web of power? As days passed, Lena learned more about the man who held her fate in his hands. Gareth was no ordinary king. He was a powerful lichen, ancient and chilling, his history doused in rebellion and betrayal. Every corner of the castle echoed with tales of his iron fist ruling an empire draped in silence. Yet beneath that well-maintained exterior, she glimpsed pain etched in the lines of his face, shadows lingering in his eyes that might not dissipate with the dawn. They were two souls trapped in this realm of thorns, one fighting for freedom, the other grappling to maintain control. Would fate twist their stories together, or would her spirit break against the weight of sovereignty? Only time could unveil the truth buried beneath layers of history and heartache. As Lena braced herself to face the unpredictable storm of emotions swirling around her, the trepidation, the thrill, the gut-wrenching fear, she pondered what line she would draw to protect herself. In the end, the answer evaded her grasp, a flickering ember slowly igniting the darkness that once held her captive. Would she be strong enough to face the Lichen King? Or would she surrender to the enticing pull of a destiny layered in thorns? Lena wandered through the castle, its halls whispering tales of grandeur and despair. The chill in the air sent shivers down her spine as she grappled with her new reality. Her heart ached, memories of her past coiling around her like chains. She had seen both light and darkness. Now she stood at the intersection of both. Her childhood village had been a place steeped in hardship. Rugged, barren fields stretched out beneath a gray sky, poverty gnawing at the edges of hope. She'd learned the art of herbalism beside her mother, fingers stained with the earth and the essence of life. But then the fire came, taking her mother and shrouding her in despair. It had been a brutal lesson in loss, soaking each moment with a relentless sense of longing. Lena had fought to escape her father's iron grip. The blade of his anger, a constant threat that drove her into the arms of the woods. She sought refuge among the trees, the only witnesses to her pain. In the wilds, she learned survival, resilience woven into the very fabric of her being. Freedom, sweet yet elusive, seemed to slip through her fingers like grains of sand. But the wild was a double-edged sword. While it granted moments of solace, it had also left her vulnerable, yearning for human connection. Filled with fear and survival instinct, she had fled into a cacophony of nature, battling solitude and longing. With each passing day, she had vowed never to let another shackle her spirit. But now, shackles awaited her. Behind castle walls, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, every tension-filled glance from the guard leading her echoing through her mind. Would they uncover her strength and snuff it out like a flame? Or would they cower before it? Then there was Gareth. Each encounter left her with questions that danced in her mind, blurring the lines between captor and king. The whispers of the kingdom spoke of his past, filled with rebellion, treachery, and betrayal, tales that left a shadow over his reign. As she drilled deeper into her new tasks, Lena discovered layers within Gareth's hardened exterior. He ruled with an iron hand, yet loneliness seeped through his every command. She caught glimpses of something more beneath his mask: pain, fear, regret. Dark histories defined him, binding him to the throne he occupied with heavy chains. Their contrast became almost palpable. Hers was a life forged by hardship, fierce independence pulsing through her veins. His was a life steeped in privilege, yet haunted by the echoes of fallen brothers, a kingdom where love could lead to demise. What did they expect of her? A docile servant? A pawn to be moved when needed? The tension grew between them, an undercurrent that sent shockwaves through her heart. Each day as he passed through the grand hall, she could feel the thrum of their fates colliding, a storm brewing, electric in the air. Yet those moments were fleeting, extinguished by the reality of his throne and the distance that separated them. And as the days turned to weeks, conflict loomed on the horizon. Whispers of unrest spread, rebel factions sensing a chink in Gareth's armor. Fear gripped her heart. She was deeply entwined in this power struggle. As he stood at the helm of political uncertainty, her knowledge of healing marked her as a target. Would innocence be enough to save her from the looming darkness? One evening, beneath the ethereal glimmer of the moonlight spilling through the stained glass windows, Lena's heart raced with a blend of fear and determination. Time would reveal her true nature, but it would also expose the king for who he really was. Would the shadows of their past bind them forever, or could they turn the weight of history into something that forged their future? As the sun dipped below the horizon, she was left with lingering thoughts. Each decision weighed heavy on her heart. Would she remain a captive, a piece in Gareth's ruthless game? Or would she defy the position she was thrust into, harnessing her knowledge and strength to forge her own path? The air hung thick with uncertainty. In the endless hallways of the castle, destiny waited to be shaped. How far would she go to protect herself? Lena faced a crucial moment as she pondered her fate. Would she seize control of her life and face Gareth with defiance? Or would she let the shadows claim her before she could even begin to rise? And with that thought, she took a deep breath, ready to face whatever awaited her. The silence pulsed within the intricate walls, waiting for her next move. Lena felt the tension electrify the air as she entered the throne room, her heart racing in sync with the charged atmosphere. Today would be pivotal. Today she would confront Gareth once more, the king whose very presence ignited fear and curiosity within her. As the heavy bronze doors creaked open, sunlight poured into the vast chamber, illuminating the dust swirling in the air, while uncertainties churned in her gut. Gareth sat enthroned, a powerful figure bathed in an aura of authority. Their eyes locked, and a raw connection pulsed between them, something tangled and deeply human. "Lena," he greeted, voice commanding, yet laced with concern. "There are rumors of unrest. I need your skills as a healer to help us navigate this turmoil." "I adhere to no throne built on fear, Your Majesty," she replied, her words cutting through the tension like a blade. "Control through intimidation only leads to downfall." His eyebrows shot up in surprise, but admiration flickered below his stern exterior. "Trust is rare for kings. I can't afford to show weakness." "Then you'll never truly lead," she asserted, heart pounding as their shared moment hung in the air, alive with rebellion and authority colliding like storms. Gareth hesitated, the weight of her words lingering. She could see the struggle within him, the man torn between duty and desire for something more. The silence wrapped around them, thickening as council members filed into the room, faces somber with worry, their presence piercing the fragile tension. Their murmurs echoed like specters of doubt, but Lena felt emboldened by her defiance. Days turned into a complex tapestry of their strained interactions, crafted through shared moments spent debating and challenging each other. Lena immersed herself in the gardens, nurturing the weeds and flowers that thrived in the wild, a stark contrast to the looming threat outside the castle walls. Each encounter with Gareth ignited a fire in her heart. A connection blossomed amidst political struggles, yet she resisted its allure. The danger lurking beyond the castle's stone walls, however, could not be ignored. Whispers of rebellion grew louder, filling the hallways with a sense of impending doom. Fear brewed in Lena's chest, knowing her role as a healer put her in jeopardy, targeted amid the confusion. The sun set one evening, casting long shadows across the courtyard. Lena spotted Gareth from a distance, brooding as he paced the length of the stone path. She found herself drawn toward him, compelled to bridge the fragility between them. "Why do you resist?" he asked, turning to face her with vulnerability etched in his features. "You could stand beside me, an advisor, a partner." "Power built on fear is no power at all," she replied, her voice steady, but her heart raced with the intensity of their connection. "I've seen it ruin lives, tear families apart." He leaned against the wall, his posture revealing both strength and weariness. "You've become something more than just a servant to me, a light I didn't know I needed." Before she could respond, a cacophony erupted outside the castle, screams of distress piercing the omnipresent silence. "Riders are approaching," a guard shouted, urgency crackling in the air. Not again, Lena thought, dread pooling in her stomach. Could this be another attack? Gareth straightened, fury and determination flickering in his eyes. "This threat grows ever more real," he announced with resolve. "We must prepare, and quickly." "But how?" Lena asked, fear twisting in her gut as she imagined chaos unfurling around them. "We can't let this uprising gain strength. We need to unite," he replied, determination igniting something deep within her. "Will you help me?" Lena took a deep breath, grounding herself in the gravity of the impending clash. "If we're to stand a chance against this, we must fight side by side, not just king and healer, but as allies in turmoil." His eyes searched hers, delight dancing under the surface of worry. "Agreed then. Together, we face whatever darkness lies ahead." As they prepared to confront the chaos erupting outside, the air around them shifted. Lena felt the burgeoning strength of their alliance grow, unlikely yet concrete, fortifying her resolve. They were about to step into a storm, together, two souls bound by shared struggles, ready to face not just external battles, but also the shadows each carried within them. The fear and uncertainty still loomed, but as they walked toward the sound of approaching danger, Lena felt sparks of courage igniting in her heart. Together, they would confront the recklessness brewing outside, and only time would reveal whether they could turn the tide against the darkness encroaching upon them. As they braced against the tempest, she steeled herself for a fight. Not just for survival, but for the possibility of something greater that lay on the horizon. As Lena and Gareth stepped outside, chaos enveloped them, a cacophony of shouts and galloping hooves ringing like war drums in the distance. The air felt electric, the smell of smoke wafting from the horizon, a grim reminder of the turmoil they faced. Her heart raced, each beat echoing the urgency of their mission. "Stay close," Gareth commanded, his voice steady as they approached the castle gates. The soldiers were assembling, their brows furrowed with anxiety. She studied them, sensing their fears mirroring her own. They weren't just warriors. They were human beings caught in a struggle much larger than themselves. "Form up!" Gareth shouted, stepping into the forefront of the gathering troops. The sight of him, a regal figure standing against the encroaching darkness, sent a shiver of determination coursing through her veins. This was his moment of truth, and Lena wanted to be a part of it. "Don't let fear rule your hearts," he continued, his voice ringing with authority. "Fight for your families, for your homes." The soldiers nodded, a flicker of resolve igniting in their eyes. "This isn't just about survival," Lena added, stepping forward beside him. "It's about healing the wounds of our kingdom. We can't let despair cloud our hearts." A murmur of encouragement rippled through the ranks, and she realized they were beginning to believe in both Gareth and herself. The picture of community and strength filled her with renewed energy, but as the distant thuds of hooves grew closer, she felt the urgency settle deep in her gut. "Prepare yourselves!" Gareth shouted as the first riders broke through the trees, hooves pounding against the ground, the sound rumbling like thunder. Lena's defiance surged, pushing away the fear. "We must act fast," she urged, thoughts racing. "If we're to stand a chance, we need a plan." She looked toward the castle herb garden, an idea striking her. "The herbs! I can create a smoke bomb using valerian and clover to obscure their vision." Gareth nodded, intrigued. "Can you make it quickly?" "I can," she assured him, adrenaline pumping through her veins. "But I will need you to stall them, to keep their focus away from me." "Consider it done," he replied, confidence radiating from him like a shield. With a swift movement, he rallied their troops once more before heading towards the imminent threat. Lena rushed into the herbarium, the scent of dried leaves and roots wrapping around her like a comforting embrace. She hadn't felt this alive in years, and desperation fueled her hands as she gathered the herbs, excitement bubbling within. Time was critical, and she needed to channel every ounce of her focus. "Breathe, Lena," she murmured to herself, her hands working fast, crafting the pouches with precision. The world narrowed to the rhythm of her movements and the urgency of the gathering storm. Outside, Gareth's commanding presence filled the air, a warrior determined to protect his kingdom. Lena finished the last pouch just as the first volley of arrows flew, the sound snapping her back to the reality around her. Panic shot through the crowd, but Gareth held them steady, a beacon of hope. Her heart pounded, and she burst from the herbarium, pouches clutched tightly in her hands. "Ready!" she shouted. "Now!" Gareth commanded, his voice sharp, guiding his men. They raised their shields, preparing for the first charge. "On my mark!" Lena hurled the pouches into the air, releasing a puff of herbal smoke that enveloped the approaching riders. Chaos erupted in the enemy lines as confusion spread among their ranks, horses rearing back in surprise, riders yelling in disarray. "Let's push!" Gareth shouted, seizing the moment. He surged forward, drawing his sword, and his soldiers rallied behind him, charging into the fray with renewed vigor. Lena felt the energy of the battlefield swallow her whole. This was it, the moment she had been waiting for, to fight for something greater than herself. She moved alongside Gareth, the two of them striking as one. She wielded the sword a bit awkwardly, but with fierce intent. Every strike felt like a declaration of her resolve. Gareth fought valiantly, each swing of his blade precise, yet Lena could see the weight of leadership pressing down on him. "Stay close," he shouted, cutting down an enemy soldier that threatened to flank her. "Right behind you," she yelled back, her heart racing as they pressed forward side by side. The soldiers around her fought fiercely, their camaraderie fueling their strength. But amid the chaos, a rider emerged, fierce and unyielding. Lena's breath caught in her throat as he charged toward them, eyes locked on Gareth. "Get back!" he screamed, raising his sword high. "Lena!" Gareth shouted, pushing her aside just as the rider swung. But she couldn't let him be harmed, couldn't stand quietly. In a surge of brave determination, she lunged forward, thrusting her dagger into the rider's side, adrenaline firing through her limbs. The attacker fell, and Gareth turned to her with astonished eyes. "You fought like a warrior," he exclaimed, his voice mingling with the din of battle. "I'm not just a healer," she replied, breathing hard, a newfound purpose igniting within her. "We're in this together." With a renewed sense of unity, they pushed through the enemy lines, each of them fighting not only for survival, but for a future they could claim together. What she had thought would be a day of dread became a moment of strength, friendship, and a shared mission. As the last of the attackers fled, a chorus of cheers erupted. The battle was won, at least for now. Lena turned to Gareth, hearts racing and bodies weary. They were both breathing heavily, covered in grime and glory, a newfound bond forged in the crucible of conflict. "We did it," she whispered in disbelief, a rush of pride swelling within. "Yes," Gareth replied, exhaustion mingling with elation in his eyes. "Together, we did." "I was scared," she admitted, vulnerability creeping in as adrenaline faded. "Me too," he confessed, smile breaking through. "But today, fear didn't claim us." In the aftermath, as the sun began to set, gilding the horizon with fiery hues, they stepped back to survey the battlefield. They hadn't just fought to survive. They had fought for a purpose. With the chaos behind them, what lay ahead remained uncertain. But Lena felt a renewed hope rising within. Their journey was just beginning, and together they would carve a path forward, united against whatever darkness waited around the corner. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with brilliant reds and oranges, a vivid contrast to the grim battle that had just unfolded. As the fire slowly faded into twilight, a heavy silence fell over the aftermath, interrupted only by the distant cries of the wounded and the rustle of the soldiers gathering to regroup. Lena stood beside Gareth, their eyes scanning the remnants of the fray, the ground still littered with fallen foes and allies alike. The air grew thick with the weight of loss, and Lena felt her heart clench. "We won, but at what cost?" she murmured, feeling the weight of grief creeping in. Gareth shifted closer, his presence a balm against the overwhelming sorrow. "Every life lost is a call to honor their sacrifice. We fight so their stories don't end here." His voice was steady, a rock in the emotional storm swirling around them. One of the soldiers approached, his expression somber. "Your Majesty, reports indicate that the enemy is retreating, but they weren't alone. We caught whispers of a greater force rallying. This isn't over." Lena's breath caught in her throat. "A greater force?" she echoed, dread pooling in her stomach. "This was only the beginning?" Gareth clenched his fists at his sides, tension radiating from his shoulders. "We need to strengthen our defenses. Rally every able-bodied person. We can't let fear govern our actions." "Agreed," Lena said, steeling herself. "Let's not wait until it's too late. We should fortify the castle and send word to nearby allies." "Right," Gareth replied, determination surging in his voice. "Every moment counts. We work together now more than ever." As they began organizing plans, Lena felt an urgent need rising within her. She was no longer just a passive observer. In this time of uncertainty, she needed to be as much a part of the kingdom's fate as Gareth. She turned to him, determination hardening her gaze. "I want to help. I can tend to the wounded, provide healing, support morale." He nodded, respect shining in his eyes. You've proven yourself today, Lena. You deserve a place at my side. Forever. A flicker of warmth spread through her at his words, but the looming threat wouldn't allow her to dwell in the moment. Let's not focus on ceremony right now. People need us. With a renewed sense of purpose, they separated to fulfill their tasks. Lena moved through the castle, her hands busy tending to those who had fallen, pouring her heart into each healing touch. Each life she touched felt like an echo of hope, a reminder of what they were fighting for. She could sense Gareth moving through the halls too, answering questions and making hard decisions, his leadership shining through even beneath the weight of uncertainty. As day turned to night, Lena felt exhaustion creep in, but the soft glow of candlelight kept her going. She bandaged wounds, listened to stories, and offered words of encouragement. Slowly, her small acts of kindness began to weave a thread of strength through the weary hearts around her. Yet, as she walked back toward the main hall, the candlelight flickering against the walls, she caught sight of Gareth standing alone, his expression distant and troubled. Every part of her urged to comfort him, to cross that distance forged in battle and uncertainty. "Gareth," she called softly, stepping into the room. "What's on your mind?" He turned to her, and the flicker of vulnerability in his eyes made her heart ache. "I can't shake this feeling that we're being watched, that someone is out there, just waiting for their moment to strike. Then we prepare ourselves," she replied, her voice steady, reflecting the conviction coursing through her. "We will not allow fear to govern our actions." A small smile tugged at the corners of his lips, and for a moment, the tension wound tightly within him eased. "You're right, as always. Together, we face the darkness." "Yes," she affirmed, stepping closer. "We've already proven that today." With the night enveloping the castle and the echoes of battle still fresh in their minds, they looked out over the landscape. The stars twinkled like distant dreams, and although uncertainty loomed, there was one truth that anchored them. They would stand together against any adversity. As Gareth's eyes caught hers, the world around them faded. "Lena, he began, but before he could finish, a roar erupted from outside, a clarion call that jolted them both out of their moment. "We need to see what's happening!" she shouted, adrenaline igniting again as they rushed toward the source of the commotion. Outside, soldiers and townsfolk gathered, voices raised in alarm. A figure atop a hill loomed, silhouetted against the moonlight. The tension thickened, a palpable fear washing over them. Lena's heart pounded in her chest as she strained to hear what was happening. "We have word from the scouts," a soldier yelled. "An army marches towards us. We must be ready." "What should we do?" another voice cried out. Gareth stepped forward, his tone commanding. "We prepare for battle. Rally the defenses and summon our allies. We will not surrender our home." As the crowd surged into motion, Lena felt a sense of determination swell within her. They weren't alone in this fight. Allies would come. They had each other. Her role was clear now. She was no longer just a healer. She was a pillar of hope, a part of Gareth's fight. "Let's do this!" she shouted, her voice rising with the crowd. "We will show them our strength!" Gareth glanced back at her, pride shining in his eyes. "You're right. Together we are unstoppable." Their hurried preparations filled the night with purpose. Each voice melded into a symphony of courage and determination. Lena clutched her dagger, a symbol of her resolve, ready to defend the kingdom they were forging together. In the face of looming darkness, a fire ignited, a battle cry of defiance against the chaos that threatened to consume them. Before dawn's light broke, they would be ready. They would stand together against whatever storm approached. Together they would rise. Together they would win. As dawn broke, casting a golden hue over the troubled land, Lena felt a swell of determination surge within her. Soldiers gathered, faces set with resolve, and the energy of unity pulsed through the air. Each heartbeat echoed a shared purpose. They would fight for their lives, their families, and their home. "Remember, stand strong," Gareth shouted, his presence radiating leadership as he rallied the troops. "We face this threat together." Lena moved through the assembled ranks, offering words of comfort, her heart racing in time with the impending battle. The weight of the world lay upon her, but she could feel the strength of the warriors beside her. No longer merely a healer, she had become a symbol of hope. Suddenly she spotted Gareth at the forefront, surveying the horizon as enemy soldiers appeared, dark figures advancing against the brightening sky. Fear and adrenaline rushed through her, pushing her forward. She gripped her dagger tightly, ready to fight alongside him. Gareth raised his sword, his voice booming over the tension. "Hold your line. We will not falter. Protect what is ours." The soldiers roared in response, fists raised, hearts ignited with vigor. As the enemy drew closer, Lena sensed the chaos looming. The metallic scent of battle mingled with the fresh morning air, and her spirit hardened with resolve. "We can do this," she shouted, even as dread clawed at her insides. "Rally the defenses," Gareth commanded. "Fight with everything you have." The fierce urgency in his tone fueled her fire, and she pushed forward, focusing on the task ahead. With a clash of steel, the two armies collided, the air electric with energy. Lena moved through the fray, tending to the fallen while dodging blows that came from all sides. Her heart raced, every strike punctuated by adrenaline. This was her chance to fight for something greater than herself. "Stay focused," she yelled to a wounded soldier, applying pressure to his wounds. "You're going to be okay." But as the battle raged on, chaos erupted around her. An enemy soldier broke through the line, charging toward Gareth. "No!" Lena cried, adrenaline fueling her body as she propelled herself forward. In one fluid motion, she hurled her dagger, her aim pure and unwavering. The blade struck true. The enemy soldier fell, and as Gareth turned to her, astonishment lit his eyes. "You saved me." "And you saved me too," she shot back, breathless. In that fleeting moment, they shared a bond born of trust and fire, a connection forged in the heat of battle. But there was no time to pause. They pressed on. With every clash, the soldiers around them found strength in unity. They fought as one, reclaiming territory, standing tall against the growing tide of adversaries. Lena felt a sense of purpose blossom within her, reminding her why they fought. "Keep pushing," Gareth shouted, his voice piercing the cacophony of war. "We take back our kingdom." With a unified roar, they surged forward, breaking through the enemy lines. The tide began to turn. Lena clenched her fists around her dagger, propelling herself forward with renewed vigor. Each step, each swing of her weapon, was a declaration of their resolve. Victory seemed within reach. Gareth led the charge, rallying weary soldiers as the enemy faltered. They were taking back their home, reclaiming the power they had nearly lost. Amidst the chaos, the sun broke free from the clouds overhead, illuminating the battlefield in golden light. As the first rays touched the ground, the enemy's morale began to crumble. Whispers of retreat echoed through their ranks, fear replacing the bravado that had once brought them forth. As the last of the attackers fled, cheers erupted from the coalition of citizens and soldiers, their cries harmonizing in a powerful celebration of defiance. "We did it!" Lena gasped, disbelief mingling with joy as she fell into Gareth's embrace. "Yes!" he exclaimed, laughing, their weariness momentarily forgotten. "Together we made it!" In that embrace, Lena felt more than just relief. She felt connected to him in a way that transcended battle. They had faced darkness and emerged stronger. The uncertainty that had once bound her began to dissipate, replaced with renewed purpose and a desire to build a future alongside Gareth. As their people celebrated around them, they took a moment to breathe, the sun casting its warmth upon them. "What's next?" she asked, gazing into his eyes.
"Now, we begin to heal," Gareth replied, his voice steady but soft. "We rebuild what has been lost and ensure that our home is protected." With determination knitting their shared purpose together, Lena looked out over the battlefield now strewn with the remnants of both the past and the hope that lay ahead. There was much to do, many lives to heal. "We will rise from this," she vowed, drawing strength from the warmth of their bond. With their hands intertwined, they turned to face the horizon, united in their fight against the darkness that still lay beyond, knowing they would meet it together. There was still a journey ahead, but with each other by their sides, they would forge a future marked by love, unity, and resilience. If you enjoyed the story of Lena and Gareth, the healer and the fierce king, subscribe for more epic Lycan King romances. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a story. And remember, together we rise against darkness. Thank you for listening.